Hi everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another review. Today, from the Transformers Adventures line, which is Takara's catch-all for the Robots in Disguise line, as well as a few choice repaints from other Transformer lines released in the United States, we have Lockdown. This is a repaint of the animated Lockdown done in colors more evocative of his movie appearance. I got this from Big Bad Toy Store, and it's kind of cool. For those of you who've always wondered about the origin of the phrase lockdown transformation, or, his legs locked down, it's basically this figure. Because really what you have right here is a deluxe class car that's actually going to turn into a robot that's about Voyager scale, which of course Takara takes advantage of and packaged in robot mode and sold in a box because it was that much taller, and thus they can sell it at that different price point. Although they're not selling it at a Voyager price point, but which is good, but you get my point. So this is sort of like best way I can describe it is a demonic monster car. Um, it has the larger wheels in the back, so gives you this nice sloped look. You have the giant exhaust coming out of the side from those 1960s, 1970s muscle cars, like I said. And you have the giant engine up front with the front grille. This is also, a somewhat armored car as well, with the spikes and what have you, which is close to the character that Lockdown was in the animated cartoon. I actually never saw past the first or second episode, so I really couldn't go into further detail. But the transformation is actually kind of unique, which we'll get to right now. Now, keep in mind, this figure comes from the animated series, which was after the first movie. So, while it's not as simplistic as, say, Transformers from the Unicron trilogy, it's not as difficult as some of those movie Transformers we're going to get. First, what you want to do is come into the back here and gently separate the legs from the pegs in the back. And here you see the first issue. This is something, unfortunately, that was never corrected on any versions of Lockdown, and that's the shallow ball socket for the hips. And basically, it's happens when you transform the figure. It is what it is. So what you want to do is then extend the leg out, just like so. The joints are a little tight on this mold, and rotate it forward, like so. I also should mention the weapon engine here has a little bit of a hair trigger, but we'll get to that when we finish the transformation. Next, what you want to do is flip down what was the front of the car, and it's basically going to slide and friction into that little pocket right there. You may just want to go ahead and bend the knees like I'm doing to give you a little bit more clearance, just like so. Next, what you can go ahead and do is you have these sections here, which are the feet. You want to go ahead and flip them up. There's two joints there, the main foot and then that little covering, and thus you have the robot standing. Next, what you can go ahead and do is flip up the engine and that front block. That'll free it up there. That is removable for a weapon, which we'll get to, but you can leave it for transformation. Fold it up all the way and rotate the waist around, and basically you have the lower half of Lockdown transformed. Finishing off the torso isn't that difficult. What you want to do is just go ahead and separate the rear of the vehicle, which will form the arms, bring it down to the side here, unfold it on both joints, and make sure when going back to vehicle mode you flip up that second joint all the way. Rotate the arm around at the forearm, flip up the shoulder pad, and using the little nub here, you can flip out the hand. And thus we have the second issue with this mold. This was actually something that was corrected on one of the re-releases of Lockdown, which was called Burning Lockdown. The tab is a little too long, or there's a little too much plastic in the forearm, and thus the hands cannot fold out properly straight. I don't know why this wasn't fixed, but then again, when this mold was used for BotCon, that was not fixed either, in lieu of getting a new head, which a lot of people said we didn't need. Finally, speaking of the head, go ahead, flip down the chest, and unfortunately, the head is actually folds in rather tightly. So you'll need to get like a little wedge or pry or something to get in there and get the head started to be able to pop it out. Just like so, and then go in and pull it up all the way, closing up the chest plate. And thus, there we have Transformers Adventure Lockdown in its robot mode. Now I did mention about the engine block here on the back being able used as a weapon. So you just want to go ahead, unplug it from there, bring the figure back down. You can go ahead and fold down that peg if you so desire. It's up to you. It is nice that there is weapon storage there for Lockdown, but basically what you want to go ahead and do is reach underneath, flip out its legendary hook, which is a hallmark of this character. But the next step that you can do is go ahead, flip the engine vent around, and then press down. There's a little button right there that you want to hold, and just press down, and this will trigger the guns. As you see, one of them is actually a little bit of a hair trigger. The other one needs a little more work. It sometimes works a little bit better if you do it while attached to the arm, but I think it's a little bit easier to show if we do it like this. What you want to go ahead and then do, and this is something the instructions skip over, you want to fold the hand back in, because that's the actual look, because really his hand is supposed to become the hook. And as you can see, it covers the entire wrist socket area, and there you have Lockdown's hook. Now, issues aside with the figure and the mold, I think this is really cool. And really what's great is, as you can see, this has become a much larger figure. Larger than Deluxes back during Animated, and larger than most Deluxes that are around today. It is lanky. It is thin in some parts, but not hollow. But that's the look of Lockdown. I mean, that's the character. I mean, there are some bits here you have to be careful of. I mean, limbs only bend a certain way. I mean, if you want the arms to go up more, you are going to expose that armpit joint. The ball socket, the hips can move. Just be careful; they might pop off. Knees, that's about all you're going to get in terms of bending. But again, this is Lockdown. He's sneaky. He's stealth. It really, from what I can know of the character from the series, this is very evocative in toy form of the personality. Lockdown may not be for everybody. This is a very animated looking figure. It really only fits in on that animated shelf, which is kind of good because the current Robots in Disguise series tends to follow that animation style more. So it could also work on your Robots in Disguise shelf. But this, in terms of plastic quality and size, it won't really fit in with the rest of the robots unless you want a much taller figure like that. I do like the overall look. The transformation is cool. I should mention though, I've transformed it from car to robot twice, and both times I did have that leg pop off. The coloring is interesting. I mean, let's be honest. You have the Decepticon logo there on the chest. But if you have the previous releases of Lockdown, the original Burning Lockdown, Stealth Lockdown, the Japanese animated Lockdown, or even the Bakan mold, you kind of know what you're getting. And I really am not sure if I can recommend this figure, in that regard. This is your old pal Chuck for Lockdown. We'll see you next time.